Hey friendos, it's DW here. Trying out a live stream. I haven't done a live stream in a very long time, so you have to excuse any weirdness. It's going to be pretty raw, pretty regular. We're just going to try this thing out. So welcome to the stream if you're tuning in now. I'm just trying to get my desktop situation here manageable. I just got all these windows open on the other screen, so give me 1 second. Getting the rust off the training wheels here. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so if you have any questions or comments or something you can see in the stream, throw it into the comment section below, or better yet, throw it in the live chat if you're here live. But comments are just as good, because I'm going to try to do a little bit more streaming, and YouTube seems to be the place I'm putting content, so why not YouTube? Might go back to Twitch or Mixer or something eventually, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, it's YouTube. So what am I trying to do tonight? This late night stream is all based around me attempting to fix a problem that I actually hit last night. So the problem I'm having is this. I actually vlogged about it, but that's going to come out later in the month. But this object here, my turn object, if I zoom in a bit on this to make it easier for people to see, perfect. I created this turn object. Now, a turn I'm working on the game, a prototype for a game called Handshake. And in this game, what I'm trying to accomplish is, it's a dialogue-driven game powered by Ink, the Ink engine, or by Inkle. I'll share that after or whatever. But that being said, every time I make a dialogue choice with an NPC, I want to be able to, that's considered a turn. You know, like I've taken a turn in that conversation because you're just constantly feeding dialogue. So I wanted to record that data in a turn object in script, so that way I can kind of look at the stats, look at the data, see what I'm doing, and kind of work with it. And so what I did is I have these two objects called the response type and the response tone, such that, so if actually, let's bring that up, why not? OneNote. Let's bring it over to the better one. Where's my mouse cursor? There it is. This thing right over here. This sums it up pretty well. Sarcastic, relaxed, bold, and reserved. These are the tones your dialogue or your response can have. So I called that a response tone. Now each tone is made up of two different types of responses, a more playful or evasive response. The reason I have this is the axes on this little graph you see here are the way I do scoring calculation, while the tone is where kind of how it fits into your response. So if I did a relaxed response, that's a playful and evasive tone, and I can calculate score. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that. It's very boring scoring logic for this game. It doesn't matter. The problem comes back to this. It's a silly problem. This here, all of this is supposed to be based on the constructor here. Where is my player class constructor? So excuse the zooming in and out here. Where's my constructors? Where is that constructor? There we go. This is what I'm looking for. So this just disappears on me, doesn't it? There we go. Perfect. Public turn response type. This is actually, you don't actually ever, a player response is never a single type. It is always two types. It's actually a tone, in fact. So it should be a player response tone or a player response tone. So when I change that, you can see down here, I get a bunch of squiggly errors and all kinds of nonsense. So unfortunately, that's where I'm at. And so when I change that, this is like a deep-rooted logic issue that I got to resolve now. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try a different zooming tool while we're mucking around in Streamland. I think this would work if I did zoom in like that. It's not so bad. So bad if I did that. That way I can kind of keep track of it. It zooms a little bit better. It zooms my whole display over, but that's not so bad. Use lens lock. Okay, that's not so bad. I'll try this out. Try to over zoom it today because it's causing a little bit of wonkiness. Anyway, let's give this a whirl. Let's see if we can actually fix this. So Step one to any of this is actually to create a branch, a new branch. So let's do get, first of all, reset hard. Just, I don't know what that changes. Doesn't matter. Get checkout B. We're going to do, this is a feature. This is a, what would we want to call this? It's also, I guess it's a refactor turn. We're just going to do this. It's going to be a local branch. I'm probably not going to push it up, but we're going to do it this way so that way I can kind of encapsulate all these changes, because the game works right now in its current state, but we want to keep that a branch where that is, because I have broken too many projects not keeping track of things. So yeah, okay. Just gonna pause this guy. I don't need that one. Okay. Oh, let's think through this. Okay, so first the initialize stats. So that's probably where I'm gonna have to go to first. Go to definition, which is just down here, which means this needs to take a response tone. Yeah, so initializing stats isn't that easy, in fact. Or is it? I'm not going to walk through all of the scoring logic for this, because that's just me getting into the thick of this and the weeds. But here's how this method is supposed to work. I'm supposed to come up here and initialize my stats. So there's stats of, I'm just tracking how many direct, evasive, playful, and serious responses that you're actually providing back to the NPC, so we can see what you're so we can kind of score whether or not the NPC likes you and what how that'll work. Now, here's the trick here. So I initialize my stats based on the this is if I don't have a previous turn. So this is the first turn I need to initialize my stats. So can I just change the whole logic to be like, you know, initialize? Can I just initialize everything? So can I just initialize with the default constructor like this? Public turn, just who cares? And then have my initialize stats method here. And ultimately, this is, because I don't need this anymore. This is gone. So I initialize my stats, and then, yeah, no, I only ever create a turn. Yeah, the idea here was to, see, this is where I should have documented my code. The idea here was that I would create a new, what's the word I'm looking for? I would only ever create a new turn object when the turn was complete. So I had the data in memory, and I wanted to kind of, in the game state, and I wanted to kind of extract that and make a copy of it into what I would call the, not necessarily, I wanted to kind of just capture that game state into a turn. That's what I want to do. I want to capture the entire game state at that turn. And that way I can kind of calculate some data, that dialogue turn, so that I can calculate some data around that, or get your score, get different things like that. Now, that being said, what I could do instead is just have a default constructor that initializes everything to 0, which wouldn't be a bad thing, and then add a method that just says set response, and I'll store that response. You can only have one response, and then once that's set, it just updates everything. Now I need to just update all my tests for that. So that's where we're going to start. But I also want to do this iteratively. So here's what we're going to do. I want this iteratively because I created all this scoring logic in one big swoop, and I created a bunch of tests around it, which is fine. Problem is that now that I'm wiring it all together and trying to wire this into the Unity game, this is where things are kind of going sideways on me, because you can think of it as like trying to reconnect the roots of a tree to the tree itself. And if they don't perfectly align, they're going to miss, and it's going to be challenging that way. So you want to write some tests to kind of ensure that things are going the right way, rather than writing the whole root set or the entire foundation here. This is a horrible analogy. But that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, where I think this is gonna go is... where do I want this to go? Maybe I do just initialize things by default and then have a set turn or a set response. Just kind of start with that. So let's start with writing our tests, shall we? We shall. We shall. So let's go down to our test. So this is kind of the benefit of... You see, look at all my tests that I broke. I broke a ton of things here. All of my tests are completely broken. Okay, well, everything's gonna fail. So let's start with... So the interesting thing about creating an API or an application programming interface, for me, I mean, I'm not no expert coder, but it's trying to predict how people are going to use your code. And I'm the only one that's going to be using this. Like, that's not the problem. It's actually trying to think through how my game code is going to attach itself to this. And I could have like just created a series of stub turns and slowly gradually built it out, but I didn't. I built this gigantic object first. And so that caused a bit of an issue. Now, yeah, all these tests are mocked up because I take the turn away. So what if I undid all that and then we just do this? And response. Let's just remove this initialize stats. Is that what we want to do? No, we want to initialize the stats correctly. But we want to just initialize stats like this. And then we can get rid of the new response, because we don't care about that. And I can also do this in a cleaner way, which I learned. We do stats.as. Is it 2? There used to be there's a... Apparently there isn't one for dictionary, only one for... There's only one for a list, never mind. There's an automatic conversion method there. Okay, so we want to initialize the stats. We will do that. These response types. And so we do that, turn initialize stats. That's fine. So now these tests will likely fail, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Let's get to the point where these tests all at least compile. Why is my keyboard not responding anymore? There we go. I miss having a USB keyboard. Saw a picture of a really pretty one today. Thinking about getting one of those, but I got some other battle station upgrades that need to happen first. Okay. Okay, now those at least compile. None of these are going to compile. Nothing that uses a turn is going to compile at all because I just blew up the constructor. And that's no good. So let's just double check that we broke all of the tests. Because I still want these values to, this is all got to still work. All these tests are still valuable because I know I want the answers to work this way. But I got to figure out how they're going to work. That'll be the trick. So one by one, we're going to make these pass. Okay, that's how it now compiles. Save it, recompile everything. Let's look at our test set here. Run all. They didn't all just pass, did they? Oh, fix compilation issues. What are my compilation issues? What am I missing? Cannot convert blah to blah. If I clear this. Do I have to close this? It might be one of these weird things where it's not linking out properly. Let's try that. Okay, so buttons. Okay. So let's try closing this guy down. Oh, you know what? It probably I didn't save the files. Blah, blah. That's where we're at tonight. That's where things are at tonight. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, Control Shift S save them. Oh, I can't save them all. Is that not a thing? Control KS. Failed to save. Inkstory Manager. Overwrite it. Bam. Don't know what it was, but it's done now. What happened here? What are you doing? Yeah, this is the thing that's broken. Okay, so we're going to do this. You compile. Compile from Unity. It goes invalid. You can ignore this warning. That's lovely. Thank you. Okay, run all my tests, shall we? Kaboom! Everything has failed. Let's actually get a screen cap of that because that's awesome. There's our starting point. Actually, let's do that one more time, but this time with feeling. Get the test runner title in there. Boom. Now, here's our goal for the night, is to convert this whole thing into green checkboxes, but I don't have a ton of time because I spent a lot of time kind of mucking around with the stream and seeing if that would work. So, you know, thinking about it more and more, maybe the right spot to be, yeah, we'll see where the right spot to stream is. I got a lot of people I like over on Twitch. Been hanging out over on Twitch, hanging out with Source Coot and that crew over on the Discord there. A bunch of devs, and you know, and they're all on Twitch people. Maybe I just go join Twitch so it can be cool with my friends. With my internet friends. Hashtag social distancing. Hashtag they were already across the ocean in the first place, so I'm about as distant as I can get. Okay. Let's see how we can do tests, shall we? We shall. Yeah, go back to our test. So test turn, initialize increases first. Okay, so this is actually, this test is not a good one. We want initialized. So this test might actually not be responsive. This might not be the right thing. So here, I got a bunch of tests here that says initialize direct turn increases response growth. These tests are invalid. You shouldn't be initializing with a response type. It should be initialized with a response tone. So an initial one should have nothing. So freshly initialized. So let's write a test for that. So public void initialized test turn, or initialized turn has no response counts. Okay, so let's do our given when then. Given when then. So given turn, given a new turn. When I initialize that turn, then turn dot current stats How did I do this before? So let's do this. Var expected is equal to 0. Var actual is equal to what? It would be turn.current stats.response type .direct. Yep, that makes sense. .count, or current stats returns an int. Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, so it is an int, and then we do assert dot r equal is equal to expected actual. Perfect. Let's try to see if we passed our first test, shall we? We shall. Where's my Unity window? Okay. Clear results. So this is our new test down here. Initialize turn. Let's zoom in a bit. Oh, Windows Plus. Initialize turn has no response counts. So let's move that over. Run selected. Bam. Okay, that's good. We're on the right track here. We are on the right track, my friends. This is fantastic. Okay, so that's our first test. So let's look at these existing. Can we convert these existing initialized directories? So we can't do that. But what we can do is convert these tests into, instead of adding a type, you set the tone. So what if I did that? What if I just wrote that test right now? And it's gonna fail miserably because it won't even compile. So given turn. It's actually just, I'm gonna make this shorter. T. Well, that's my sump pump, not someone banging on the floor telling me that I'm too loud. I don't know what I'm doing this for. Let's just take this up. When turn is equal to, oh wait, turn, maybe that's why I did that. Let's turn T. T is equal to new turn. I want to add response tone dot, what are my options for response tone? It's not doing my IntelliSense. Response tone dot. Okay, my object is not working because it's all of this compilation stuff is blowing up all over the place spectacularly. Response tone, we want, let's try bold. That's the first tone. I don't know why I'm jumping around here. Turn. Test turn. Then what am I expecting? Oh, I don't have a test method. The method signature. Initialized turn with bold. How is this actually going to work? With bold response. With response type updates stats. Updates. Let's try this again. Stats. Good. So we got that. So if it were, let's go back to our OneNote drawing. So if it was a bold, I would expect direct and serious stats to be bumped up. So this is kind of the test that I was thinking of down here, that when I update a turn, when I update a turn's response, it should be updating them. Yeah, well, it should be changing the stat value. So what if we, before doing this one, we do another default one before I get into this. But this is kind of a convenience one. So what I would expect out of this one. Turn stats are updated on setting response. There, perfect. So new turn. So we need a new method here. When new turn and then t dot, let's call it set tone. Do you want to? Yeah, let's do set tone. Because this is gonna be a set response tone, because you can only ever have one, and there's gonna be some extra stuff that happens with this. We'll do response tone, just bold out of default, under that, and then so the expectation would be that var direct. Maybe I don't have to do that expected. This is overly verbose, but we do assert. What I would expect is that then assert dot, or let's do var direct stat expected is equal to 1, right? That was what it was. Direct and serious. Var act, and then we do. So that way I have that kind of direct stat, and then I do assert dot r equal assert dot r equal. We want direct stat expected, and what would this be? Let's actually var direct stat actual is equal to t dot current stats dot response type dot direct. So this should be equal to 1 is my expectation. That is my expectation. And what else? And var, oh come on, get out of here with this nonsense. Var, it was serious? Yeah, serious stat expected is equal to 1 as well. And var serious stat actual is equal to t dot current stats response type dot serious. Now I'm being overly verbose in my test. I tend to do that so that when someone like me is reading my code later, that way I can actually follow along a little bit better. And I kind of understand what I was doing. That's why my variable names are very verbose. It's I know it's a style thing and some people hate it. I can't live without it, so that's how it's going to be. Assert.r equal direct expected direct stat actual. Okay, and this is the same deal here. So assert dot r equal r equal is equal to t dot r equal, what am I doing? Direct stat actual. I guess direct stat expected. I did this the backwards way. We will do it for consistency. We are going to change this up just because I'm that weird dude that needs to actually put everything in the same order, otherwise it makes me tick, and I don't want to be ticking, not on stream. That's no good. Okay, so now my set responses. So set stat expected, serious stat expected. Why are you not being used? You are used right here, my friend. I just typed the variable name wrong. And also use this one wrong. Okay, that would actually, this test would have passed had that warning not been there, because it's just the same value, but it would have been a crap test. And that happens. So I need this set response method on my turn. So we're gonna just start adding code. Public down here. Public void. Actually, we'll just do public int. What if we did that? And we actually return the new stat value. No, we can't do that because it's gonna have two different. I can return a tuple, I guess. But then that's just confusing. Let's just do set response type is equal to response. Now I must have an update stat. There we go, update. So what was my public method? Calculate. What about my update stats here? What is this one? Interesting, I can reuse this. Where does this set get used though? Go to references. Is this not used? Oh, 0 references. Okay. Interesting. So what I've learned about this thing, so what I should be doing is rather than having this at all, we're gonna do just this is just more well thought out by me at this point. We do private dictionary response type int. We're gonna call it current stats, like that. And current stats should get the following. It should return, let's say, if current stats is not equal to null, we want to return current stats dot. I wish they had the like the other thing, like new. Like there was a list method that I saw that lets you convert lists into read-only versions of them, and there's a read-only dictionary. That's what I assumed there was there, but apparently not. So read-only dictionary response type, and that's going to be current stats. So it'll always return a copy of this. That's fine. Why are you unhappy? Do I even care then? Can I just return this? So then we have to reinitialize this guy to be current stats. And then we actually make this way easier on ourselves by making this a dictionary. It's not way easier, but it's just less messy code. Just less complexity to the code. So I'm just returning this. I'm just creating a dictionary, converting it, done. And I initialize the stats here. So that's my initialization. Now my read-only is doing that, which is good. I don't have a setter, so I don't need one. Okay. So now back to this thing. So we cleaned that up a little bit. Set response. So what do we want the response to be? So first of all, I need a I guess I need a property for that because I don't want to keep that information. So this one I can actually do public response tone. Oh wait, did I screw it up again? I did. Set. See, this is the thing I did before. I get the words mixed up constantly. Set response tone. There we go. Change that guy to tone. And do. Turn down the music. There's a little pinch on there on the stream. Okay. So let's set our property here. So it's a public response type. We're going to call it tone. And that tone is going to have a getter and a private setter. That's fine. I don't mind this. Then I can set this privately in here to yeah, because when I set this, I could have to get the tone out. Now the reason I'm not doing this in the setter is because I don't want the property to have a bunch of complex logic into it, because I have to update the stats at the same time. So I hit this before in Unity where I was doing some more complicated logic inside of the property, and I was getting a race condition. It was just kind of throwing up a little bit. And because of that, it was no good. And I had to debug that and move the logic out. So rather than worrying about doing anything complicated in the setter itself, I'm going to do all the logic in here. So that is meaning we're going to do this dot tone is equal to tone. So first we set the value. And the next thing we do is we need to update our stats. And now we have an update stats method down here that I don't use anywhere. So let's look at this. Yeah, so calculate tone value. This specific tone based on current stats. So this, that's the calculation itself. Calculate tone. 5 references to this guy. Calculate tone score. Calculate score. See, this is the calculate the score for the specific. I need to put some better logic in here, hey? So we're gonna do that ourselves, I guess. So this is what I want, the calculate tone value. And what returns here? It actually just updates, it does the math formula that I have to calculate score or the tone value. So let's just do, I guess let's just steal this, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, let's just steal all this part here. So first let's add some comments. So set the tone. Haha. Sounds funny. Then update the stats. The response type stats. So we do this. So you can see how I do like depending on where your stat will go up based on what tone you had, and then it'll adjust accordingly. So what this means though is I need to go into here, go to definition of this, and I need a new one of these guys, and we're going to call it none, because I'm not none. We're going to call it error, because there is no time right now as far as the game design goes. There is no response. I haven't gotten that far yet. So we are going to add an error response type, and nobody cares about those. So on that, so maybe I don't have to worry about, once I get the values here, then I need to handle, this should be a private method, this whole thing. This whole thing should be a private method. Private. Do I want to mess around with tuples? Like, is that what I want to do? So what I'm thinking about is moving this whole switch statement into its own little method. And bleh, I'm not sure I want to do that right now. I don't really feel like doing that. So updated response stats will just be sloppy and put the comment in here. Convert, because you're converting tone to, or tone to type. And then you want to update type stats on turn. So initialize stats turn. So where are my stats? I need to take this dot current stats response X, whatever that is, don't really care. We're gonna go up by 1, and this dot current stats dot response Y plus plus. There you go. So that's how we update the stats. Because I don't really care what they are. This is doing all that conversion for me. And once I get that, I mean, I could turn this into two methods where it's like I get the, get the X response, get the Y response, and have just two methods. But for now, this is fine. I don't know if I'm going to use that a second time anyway. Okay, set the response tone. That is done, and then it updates the stats. So if I go back to my test turn, set response tone is what setting response tone. This should hypothetically pass. Let's find out. What I should have done there is I actually should have failed it. I should have shown us that this all failed, but let's run. Can I select two? Let's run selected. Sweet. Just to be clear, I'm actually just, I don't trust myself enough with this nonsense. Okay. Let's just do then setting response tone on updating response tone. Okay. What's my test tone here? Direct response increases sarcastic tone. A direct response increase. So this is where I had the logic kind of backwards. So I wrote my tone tests to on a direct response increases the bold and sarcastic tone, but I got the mixed up. So it should actually be, I'll have to update those tests as well. These tests will all fail. I'm going to do this in a longer stream, I think. All of this stuff. This is a work in progress. We're going to get this going here. Let's finish this one and see where we get to. It's a good test, though, this streaming thing. I'm feeling it though. I'm liking it. I'm liking the talking through my code. It's nice. It's refreshing. I miss streaming. It's true. I really did miss streaming. So, all right. So turn sets are getting updated on response tones. That's fine. So now we see that it actually does that. Because we know which ones it goes to. We're expecting bold, so it's fine. So initialize directory response. So this is not. So this is the convenience method that kind of comes with it. So if I want to initialize a turn with a response, this is where I was going with these ones. I want to say like, so the idea would be. Let's see what this has any value. A new term at a response type of, let's say, response tone dot. Let's say I added a bold. this is kind of a lazier access method so that if you do actually use this, you're actually just updating it up front. So I think I'm actually going to do that. Initialized. Ooh, but here's the thing. Turn stats are updated on setting the response tone. We have to think of another set, so let's get rid of this guy. So here's another one. If I change the tone, it should reduce the stats on like, so by default. So what's my default here? Like, what would happen here? Set response tone. So this is the interesting part, like what would actually happen. So this has to be initialized to something. And it's not nullable, and enum is not enum. It's like, do you want to have that none? Yeah, you do. You do want to have that response tone none. So we do, let's keep this bold, and then we do none. Do this at the bottom. Like that. So if I go down to here, so let's add another turn here, or another test to turn. Like, I'm actually curious, like, what is it actually set to? Because I can't set it to null. Let's debug this thing. Let's get the debugger going. Indeed, let's get ready for a deep dive, shall we? Let's see here. What am I trying to accomplish here? Yeah, I'm starting to get pretty late. I'm starting to, my brain's starting to melt a little bit here. Okay, so I'm going back to the Unity. I want to run my tests again. Is what I want to do. That's what we're gonna. That's where we're gonna close. Because I think I'm gonna come back with a longer stream another night. Now that I got this setup kind of working, I kind of met my own expectations. So I'm happy enough with what I've got. And okay. So let's debug right here. So we've got our debug statement going. We go here. Let's run selected. Hiccups. Let's see tone T. So I'm going to zoom in on this so we can all see it. Oops. Oh my goodness. I don't want the call stack. Open up the watch. But it's... Oh, why are you not, like, expanding for me, man? There we go. So current tone is bold. It defaults to bold. Interesting. That's not good. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. That's an interesting behavior. I did not expect that. So, it's because I'm not that familiar. I'm a bit rusty when it comes to C#, and I'm certainly really rusty with C# 8 and just enums in general. So let's stop the debug. Let's stop running our tests. That's fine. Okay, so what that means to me is we need to actually response tone. None should be the first one. So now, hypothetically, where are you? If I go back here, start debugging again, and do push play on this guy. Did I delete that? My my thing with the stuff. Oh, no, it's still there. Let's. Oh, yeah, it's almost time for me to call it here because I got a young child looking for me. Well, she's making a little bit of noise. That means I got to go upstairs and check on her. But I didn't want to play. What I wanted to do was I wanted to run my selected tests. What'd you come back with? Tone is none. So it defaults to 0 essentially because enigma is just like kind of a fancy integer, right? So default is none, which is fine. And that would be a better expectation. So what I'm actually going to do before we call it quits is I'm actually going to add a test to that. We are going to write in initialize has no response counts. And I'm going to write a new test. Public void initialized turn has no response tone set to none. And so we do, okay, let's try this. Given turn t, stop auto-completing my face-off, you thing. Okay, t is equal to new turn, given when, then we do var expected is equal to response tone dot none, and do var actual is equal to t dot tone, and now we're going to do the assert dot r equal what is this? What is expected? Is it, yeah, expected is actual. Did I get it all backwards again? Oh, I totally did. Actual. So I've been doing no commits as I've been doing this because I thought I was going to get a lot more done a lot faster. But I am going to do a commit after this, before the stream is all done. And it's a work in progress though. This is a whip, that's for sure. And I'll push this up to my repo, but bleh. Okay. What day is it tomorrow? Tomorrow is Thursday night. Interesting. No, tomorrow is Wednesday, because today I started on Tuesday. My stream went into Wednesday, though, because I'm good like that. Okay. Okay. Set to none. Okay, so that should hypothetically just run. Let's run the test. Let's run the test. Okay, let's clear the results. All that red is making me sad. Not really sad. This is what needs to be done. This is a bigger job than what I would normally expect. Okay, so we've zoomed in. Let's gonna run these. Run selected. Do I have? Oh, I have my debugger on. Let's close that guy. Perfect. And we got some more green. Yay! That's awesome. So, that's where I'm gonna call it for the night. So I'm gonna commit this code for backup, and I am gonna stream again. I think you can expect it to be on Twitch. I'm gonna try Twitch again. I'm just doing some piloting with some streaming, and YouTube was fine. I'll give it that much. It's really just the I just need to be able to stream somewhere. I happen to know a lot more people on Twitch, and so I used to do it on Mixer, right? I used to do it on Twitch. I kind of jumped around. I've done it on YouTube before. I think at the end of the day, it makes sense for me to kind of just do it where I know people, because I don't really care where I stream. It's more a matter of, I don't know. It's really just a matter of because I think Twitch will let me upload it automatically to YouTube, because I like having the YouTube archive. Anyway, this is a whole meta discussion about how to create, how to share to the community. And I think Twitch has just a stronger live streaming community because it's a live streaming community. Although I am tempted by Mixer, to be fair, because I really kind of started on Mixer and I love my Mixer community. And that's it. That's all for me tonight. So thanks for watching. If you watched this on the archive, and have yourselves a pleasant day and or evening. Take care of yourself.